On this show, we're looking at Gomez, Plummer, Keitel, Voight, Bartha, Kruger, Bean, and Cage. We're looking at 2004's National Treasure.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of 100 Things We Learned from Film. I'm one of your hosts, my name's Planty, and I'm a national treasure.
You took my line. I'm just the other guy, John, then. Thanks for that. You should be buried.
So, just, obviously now, listeners, you know that we don't run these by one another. It's... John, it's a couple of weeks into the new year.
Yep. It's better already for me. I don't know about you, but it's marginally better.
Yeah, I'm finding myself running down the street, dodging Omicron at every opportunity. To be fair, yeah. It was better. It was much better till between us we managed to pick this piece of shit. But it was either this or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, wasn't it?
I was actually not pandering, but I know I wish we'd have picked that. We were actually going for our American market, trying to help them out, and
I know
but they probably know all this back to front. So.
Yeah. It's just the three things that they've learned.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, 100 things that we've learned. If we get to 100 on this one, mate, I am paying for your entire night out when I see you next. It ain't happening. No. National Treasure, what year?
So 2004, and if you want to know the films of 2004, listen to Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead remake. Zack Snyder, Dawn of the Dead. Episode 4 or 5 , maybe that, I think.
Yeah, back in
early
the
doors, wasn't it? Early doors. Bands that we were.
Exactly.
Having no idea what we were doing.
Editing was getting better, but we were young, dumb, and full of films back then.
Young, dumb, and full of zombie spit. I don't know. I'd argue we don't know what we're doing now, but whatever. Fine. Somebody reached out to me on Twitter earlier on this week for some advice. What the fucking hell are you asking me for? I don't know. I can't even run my own pod. I can't even run the two podcasts that I run.
Is it for that rash?
Yeah, absolutely. It was for some advice on what to do if you're creating a Declaration of Independence. Anyway, let's
get somebody else to write it. That's what you do.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, so. We, of course, the podcast that tries to learn 100 things from every film, no matter how trash, no matter how good. Last week was a great film, so let's dip into some. Actually, I've got to say, the odd person that I've mentioned this film to, they go, "Oh, I really love that film. Oh, I really like that film."
Yeah,
it's fucking polarising, mate. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's not aged well, has it? I was in my head. I had Tomb Raider, and it turned out to be a grave robber.
Shit, Deander Jones.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't really work. Anyway. We open. This is Jerry Bruckheimer film. It's our second Jerry Bruckheimer film, this one. Do you remember the first one?
Yeah. I was going to say The Rock, but we've not done The Rock. I want to do The Rock.
So we should do The Rock.
Was that a Nicolas Cage film?
It is. It's our second Nicolas Cage film, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, so the first one was...
It was...
I love this. I love that you've either frozen or you
frozen,
just
sorry.
think. Yeah. It's on a plane.
Oh God, the plane one.
Yeah, the airplane, 1980s airplane.
No,
Con Air, you knobhead.
It was Con Air.
Con Air. Better film than this. I'm editing that bit, pal. I'll make you look smarter than you are. I mean, it's what I do every week anyway, so don't worry about it. We start with this kid heading up into an attic. Funnily enough, he's in the Christmas Vacation attic, and he's about to end up sat watching the films and fall through the roof.
Yeah, and try and find the baubles with his dad.
It's 1974, and he's after Christopher Plummer's Nazi gold.
That's exactly what he's looking for.
What he doesn't know is that it's been moved to the bank in New York. But don't worry.
Still a cracking film as well.
That's a great movie. He's such a great man. I wish we were watching anything but this. Plummer catches him and tells him this tale.
Yep.
It's 1832. Charles Carroll is the last surviving signer of the Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
He's dying, so he heads to see President Jackson. But Jackson's not there, so instead, he can't tell Jackson his secret. He tells his stable boy, Thomas Gates. Remember that name, because he's Plummer's great-great-great-grandfather, and he tells him of a treasure centuries old. Knights of the First Crusades found it below the Palace of Solomon. Was the Knights Templar smuggled it to the US under the name of the Masons. There's loads here, by the way.
Oh, please, I know.
And hid it with clues and maps to keep it from the dastardly British. Damn those dastardly British.
Damn those British, yeah.
I know.
Ironic considering who's chasing the gold right now.
And there's one clue that they have, and the clue is the secret lies with Charlotte.
Yeah. So we can open up a whole can of worms here because there's a lot. I've got some stuff on Charles Carroll because I thought he'd said at one point that Charles Carroll was the last one to sign the Declaration. It wasn't. So John Hancock signed it first, and apparently Thomas McKean signed it last.
All right. Okay.
This is my favourite bit. Thomas Jeffrey wrote the Declaration of Independence, but it wasn't in his handwriting. It was an elegant script that belonged to someone called Timothy Matlack, who was a brewer and bottler from Pennsylvania. Nice. That's in my mind that they've got all these amazing people, all these potential presidents, and they get a brewer to actually write it up. Yeah. So
there's a few mentions of Mr. Matlack, isn't there? Matlack!
In a lot of your Simpsons episode.
Yeah, of course. There's a few references. 1832, when this was all supposed to have happened, other things that happened. The Legislative Council grants a city charter for Jacksonville, Florida. Mormon leader Joseph Smith is beaten, tarred and feathered in Ohio, Marge. Ooh. At least he's still got his golden plates, so that's all right. And Lewis Carroll, he of Alice in Wonderland, was born, and your fellow countryman and nonsense writer, Sir Walter Scott, died. The Declaration of Independence was ratified July the 4th, 1776. Other countries have used it as a basis of theirs, including New Zealand, Guatemala, and Ecuador. Not that one. That's going to be the end of the rest of the episode, boy. The first foreign derivation, fucking hell, some words, derivation of the Declaration was the Manifesto of the Province of Flanders in 1790.
I bet you had a hard on reading that.
Stupid, sexy Flanders. And it's the inspiration for 1776, a musical based on the events leading up to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, telling a story of the efforts of John Adams to persuade his colleagues to vote for American independence and to sign the document. I mean, doesn't sound like a Lion King, does it? But
no,
I'm led to believe it's quite interesting.
Maybe true anyway.
Yeah. You telling me the Lion King isn't true? You telling me that didn't happen?
I know a lot of fucking scars round about here. They'd throw you under that bus as soon as they look at you.
There's no buses in the Lion King.
That's in Glasgow. So a couple of facts on the end of what you were saying about the Templar Knights and Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson was the 7th president. In the War of 1812, Jackson became a national hero when he defeated the British in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
I looked up the Templar Treasure, right, and it's never been found, but it says it's estimated at over $1 billion and a lot of accumulated things. It consists of things like silver bullion, various royal jewels, sensitive religious documents, both chemistry and Christianity and Judaism, chemistry. Christianity and Judaism, but possibly lost Shakespeare manuscripts as well.
Oh.
That's a bit weird. And so I looked up whether Templar Knights was a thing. They're obviously not. They could have went underground, but to become a Templar Knight, you had to first master masonry, and you also had to be a royal archmason, and you must profess your belief in Christianity.
All right, okay.
That's the 3 things you need to do.
Fair enough. Andrew Jackson, funny you should mention him. Shamon, no relation. You'll love this. Assassination attempt on him. It's an absolute peach. I'm going to read it direct from Wikipedia. Richard Lawrence, an unemployed house painter from England, go on lad, aimed a pistol at Jackson which misfired. Lawrence then pulled out a second pistol, which also misfired. Historians believe the humid weather contributed to the double misfiring. Jackson, infuriated, attacked Lawrence with his cane until others present, including Davy Crockett, fearing the president would beat Lawrence to a pulp, intervened to restrain and disarm Lawrence.
Wow.
The Davy Crockett, John.
That's amazing. The adventure.
That's right, absolutely. Temple of Solomon was where they got all this treasure from. Built, we think, 957 BC. Solomon was known for being wise. You know the story, John, from Kings,
yep.
The Bible story. The two women both lay claim to being the mother of the same child. Solomon, being the bloodthirsty smart-ass that he is, says, cut the child in half and share it between the two. One of them goes, no, don't kill the child, I give up. The other one goes, yeah, go on, then do it. So Solomon then says, look, you who didn't want the child to die, you're the mother, take it. I think what they missed from that is I think he sentenced the other woman to death. I'm sure that was part of the story that I did. Yeah, so he's not all that good. His temple was plundered and destroyed in 598 BC by the Babylonians. And there's a 3rd Division Ghanaian football team called King Solomon FC, which I loved. I couldn't find their shirt, which just as well, because I would have probably ended up buying it. You know,
I was going to say, it'd be good to have a look at their trophy chest and see what's in there. All that treasure.
None of it, because it was all taken by the Knights Templar. Knights Templar, also known by the full name, Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. It's not as catchy, though, is it?
Yeah, it's not got a ring to it. Doesn't roll after sword.
These arseholes cut around from 1119 to 1312, murdering anyone that looked different and didn't want to kiss the Pope's feet. So that's everything I've got for that tiny little bit of the film. We're still only 2.5 minutes in, and we're about 30 things in. So it's not a bad start, but it'll go downhill from here. Your man Voight turns up. He's the kid's dad, right? And this wig he's wearing, by the way,
Jesus
fucking hell. He looks like he's come out of Peter, Paul and Mary, doesn't he?
I think he's gone for a Robert Redford look, wouldn't he? But it just didn't work.
Robert Redford's one of the most attractive men in the world. Jon Voight has got a face like my arse, hasn't he?
No half eye.
How's his daughter so beautiful?
How he spat out Angelina Jolie's a mystery, but then I thought it's like a miracle than a mystery.
Yeah. He doesn't believe in any of it. He thinks it's nonsense. Plummer knights the kid like fucking Queen Elizabeth. We find out the kid is called Benjamin Franklin Gates. Oh, and I died a little bit inside.
I must admit, I did as well. I forgot about that bit. I thought, oh my God.
Yeah, that's the end of Plummer. He gets his shilling and fucks off. Good on him. Okay. Barely memorable in this
film.
Go
back to your bank, father.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, present day. I kept calling Ben's little kind of stooge Linus. He's not called Linus. I don't know why I called him Linus. He's called Riley.
Yeah.
Where did we know Riley from? Any ideas?
Hangover?
Yeah, it's Doug. Yeah. Dougie.
He looked a lot cooler in the Hangover than this little.
Yeah, he's a right little dweeb, isn't he? And they're working with famous English baden.
Sheen Bean.
Sean Bourne. That's right, yeah, absolutely. It's... we're going to get the Declaration. We're going to get it for America. No, for England, James.
We're going to do it for Yorkshire.
We argued. Bastard. I'd like to add in that supercut of Sharp saying bastard here now. Bastard. They're in these snow cats. These snow cats are brilliant. They look like they're on the way to fucking kill the thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what. As soon as I seen him, I seen two, and I thought all I had in my head was dim 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 dim.
Nice.
That beautiful music. I love that.
I love it. Absolutely, me too. And they're heading to the Arctic Circle. There's Sean Bean. I keep writing Linus, and I know he's called Riley. Linus and Ben, and these goons hired goons randomly, like random Russian goon, random Scottish
goon,
but not very Scottish goon, and bloke who doesn't look like any of the other two. He basically looks like M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
I thought it was. I was certain it was him. It turns out he's the brains. He doesn't go too well for him. So they're looking for a ship. They dig and they find a bell. They're doing the beach combing, aren't they? First of all, with the I can't remember what those things are called. The
treasure hunters.
Yeah. Those things that metal detectors.
Metal detector.
I was just trying to say those things that detect metal. What a prat! Jesus, I haven't even had a drink. Maybe I need a drink.
Maybe that's what this is. That's the problem here.
Yeah. So they find this bell, and the bell says Charlotte on it. Oh, the secret lies with Charlotte, John. Oh my God. They get in the hold, and they find barrels of gunpowder. So what we're going to do is we're just going to smash up these barrels of gunpowder and sprinkle gunpowder everywhere. Smart as fuck. Well done, lads. Yeah, good work.
Clever boys.
Nicolas Cage's character Gates, like, oh, why is that captain holding on to that barrel so hard, man? I have absolutely no idea why he's Elvis.
I just seen the Goonies in my head.
Yeah.
One-eyed Willie's holding on to that barrel.
We watched the Goonies. I bought Rachel the Goonies on a Blu-ray Steelbook for Christmas, and we watched it. And I'm not a massive fan of the Goonies, but it is a trillion times better than this.
Oh, God, aye. It makes you feel a lot better about piracy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. He's got a box inside this barrel of gunpowder, and in it's got this ornate pipe, hasn't it? Which is of the ship.
Yeah, it looked good.
Fantastic. The stem of the pipe's got this scroll written on it. So Ben puts blood from his thumb onto it and then rolls it onto the paper.
Yeah.
And he sees Templar symbols, and it says, legend writ, the key in silence undetected, is in iron pen. Mr. Murtlock can't offend. So it turns out Ben is Russell Crowe from A Beautiful Mind. And he can figure everything out, can't he? Within seconds. He's some sort of genius. He figures out it's the Declaration of Independence that they need to find, and that there's an invisible map on the back of it. Sean Bean is financing the whole expedition, obviously with his money that he got from Yorkshire Tea adverts.
Yep, from Yorkshire Tea. That's exactly what I thought. He's put that money to good use.
He has put that money to good use, yeah. And he says, right, well, that's easy. I'll finance us to be able to nick it. We'll take the Declaration of Independence. And Ben's like, no, because although he's a treasure hunter and although he's desperate for this treasure, he holds this Declaration of Independence as the most important thing in the world. And look, American listeners, we probably deserve to be picked up on this. We don't have anything like this, to my mind, that I give a shit about enough in this country. But to this, I don't know, tell us, to this film, it seems like the Declaration of Independence is the most important thing that's ever existed.
Yeah, well, along with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, they always talk about those three things which are all stored in the National Archives anyway. So
right, okay. Oh, fantastic. Place. There you go.
So if you want to ruin history, just set fire to the National Archives.
Yeah, okay. I'll certainly think about it, yeah. I'm sure Donald Trump will tell his people to storm it. That'll be the next thing.
Steal stuff.
Yeah. And because Ben says no, he says, well, look, we've got no choice but to kill you. So they pull a gun on him. They're going to shoot Doug, Linus, whatever we're calling him, and they threaten to kill him. Ben lights a flare, doesn't he? And he says, I'll blow us all up in that case. And he says, no. He says, well, look, can your man catch? And he throws this flare. And Sean Bean, quick as a thing, isn't he? Whoa, there's a catch there for the thing. But then he sets himself alight to it. And that was brilliant. It was absolutely smashing. I love seeing a man on fire anyway.
Oh, you love a good fire scene,
it's my Anyway, they retreat, and the place is on fire now. They lock Ben and Riley in the hold, and they're running for it. But they survive the explosion by hiding in this smuggler's hold underneath.
Yeah.
And they're going to walk 9 miles, which, to be honest, I can imagine is probably really hard going in snow.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal out there.
Yeah.
And they took both cats as well, the cheeky bastards, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. They're in DC now, and they get kicked out of the J. Edgar Hoover building.
Did you find out anything about that?
We've already done the J. Edgar Hoover building, but I couldn't remember in what.
Yeah, but this is one thing I didn't realise is J. Edgar Hoover, Richard Nixon directed federal agencies to refer to the structure as J.
Oh, right, okay.
Just J. Oh, and
Call it J.
Go back to Charlotte, apparently, because I was looking up this Charlotte to see if it was a thing. It's obviously not, but there was a British ship lost the coast of Newfoundland in November 1818 and was never found.
Oh, right, okay. So we're assuming that's that Charlotte.
It could be, and I was double-checking to see how long gunpowder lasted.
Yeah.
This is such a weird thing, because this must be an American thing, because they store it. So if it's properly stored and unopened, a container of smokeless gunpowder can last indefinitely. But once it's opened, it becomes unstable, but it can still last a long, long time. But I think both is looking at those barrels, those were totally open, weren't they? Because they were all cracked. And,
of course they were.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know it lasted indefinitely. But yeah,
no,
apparently,
neither did I. I guess it's dry, isn't it? So why not?
True that.
The flares ignite at 191 degrees Celsius, which is apparently 376 degrees Fahrenheit, but that doesn't mean anything to us. Burn as hot as 1,600 degrees Celsius. The earliest recorded use of gunpowder for signalling purposes was the signal bomb used by the Chinese Song dynasty.
Ooh.
There you go. Quite liked that. There's a couple of things we missed there. Well, I missed there. Was as they're heading to the Arctic Circle in the Cats, he mentions that they're in the tracks of Henson and Peary. Henson and Peary were explorers that made 7 voyages to the Arctic over 23 years. Spent a total of 18 years on expeditions together. I bet they were friendly. God. And best known for the 1908 to 1909 expedition that claimed to have reached the geographic North Pole on the 6th of April, 1909.
Well done, those guys. That's a proper effort they put across in there.
Yeah. The Arctic Circle is the most northerly of the 5 major circles of latitude. Approximately 4 million people live within the Arctic Circle region. And Salkard in Russia is the only city to sit within the Arctic Circle.
Boom.
There you go.
Factamundo.
Just a quick mention. Riley says, I broke a shoelace this morning. They said, what? Yeah, it's bad luck. Breaking a shoelace is bad luck. If your shoelaces come undone while you walk, it means your father loves you more than your mother does. Okay. If the right lace comes undone, someone is speaking well of you. If the left comes undone, someone's calling you a cunt. or similar. I keep saying I'd drop the C word because the Americans don't like it, but I just can't.
I think I'll start using Velcro for now on. Nobody loves me.
Slip-ons. Plump-ons. So they head to the National Archives as Mr. Brown, as Mrs. Brown's boys, because everybody knows the name Gates. So they're seeing Abigail. This is Diane Kruger?
Diane Kruger, aye.
I was certain that when I put this film on, that it wasn't Diane Kruger. I was certain it was the woman that plays Mystique in the X-Men films. So Abigail's the head of the archives. She has these George Washington buttons, badges, but she's missing one, these campaign buttons.
Yeah.
And they're like thousands. Like what he says, one sold for like $75,000, doesn't he? The one that she's got missing recently. So I had a look. How much is it going to cost you for a Biden campaign button on eBay? You can buy 6 of them for £15.66. I'd say it's still probably a bit too dear by about 15 quid. Personally. Yeah.
It's not the greatest.
Old man Joe's got his finger on the button. What do you mean, old man? I'm only 5 years older than you. Yeah. So, he tells us someone plans to steal the Declaration of Independence and they need to see the back to confirm. She says, I've seen the back, there's no map. He's just like, there's this pause, he's like, it's invisible. She's like, yeah, okay. Goodbye, Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Gates Gates is looking at the Declaration. He's like, we've got a responsibility to take action and steal it. I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Okay, mate. Right, okay. So Riley takes him to the Library of Congress to put him off, right? And he says, oh, well, look, here's all the blueprints and the schematics and everything. He's trying to put him off, but he names all the things that he needs that are there. I just need access to all these things that are here, and I can just get out when I want.
Aye, and as soon as he says, oh, this is a problem, this is the obstacle, he pulls out another book and says, there's the solution.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He says, when it's not being monitored by the guards, it's monitored by heat and movement sensors. And when it's not displayed, it's vaulted. It's in this big case, isn't it? This metal kind of case. He says, and it goes into the preservation room whenever the case needs fixed. And
you like that?
Well, yeah, I like the preservation room. So what's the preservation room?
For jams and jellies.
Jams and jellies was a good line. I liked that. But what I didn't like was when they showed the action of this thing going back into it goes into the ground, doesn't it? Damn thing.
Yeah,
it was fucking Dreamcast graphics, man. Yeah. It was rotten.
Terrible, it was really
absolute dog shit. It
was bad.
There's less guards when it's being fixed. So that's the plan, because there's going to be a gala. They've seen a little leaflet for a gala. So they're going to do it on the gala night. Riley heads to the tube station over the road and connects to the cameras using a bit of kit. The tube station, or metro station as it's called Archives/Navy Memorial Station, and is serviced by the green and yellow lines.
Okay.
Neither of which will get you to the Smithsonian. As I tried to discover, it tells you to walk to the Smithsonian, which is fair because it's like a 3.5 minute walk.
No, well, that's not too bad.
Okay, but I was like, "How am I going to get to the Smithsonian from here?" Oh yeah, yeah. How am I going to get to see the T-Rex when it comes alive at night? No,
exactly.
Those are films we should never do.
Yeah, let's not.
Let's never do those. Let's never do those. Gates is reading up on the case. He takes this photo of this janitor's ID badge, right? He is like fucking half a kilometre away, and he's got the zoom on this lens. He's good enough for him to get all of the detail on the badge, and even though he takes the photo at an angle, the next shot is him editing it straight on. Yeah. I was like, okay, mate, you know, I've got a very good camera for work. And it's not even that good.
That was
nearly 20 years.
That was Hubble, wasn't it? That was a portable Hubble in his hand.
He mixes up this kind of lime and food colouring fluid thing that can only be seen under ultraviolet. Mm-hmm. In Abigail's office, and she's had a delivery, and it's the missing badge from Mr. Brown, the missing button, campaign button. Meanwhile, Riley's pointing this laser at the case, and it heats it up and shows us a heat fault. So they take it out of circulation. The night of the gala, Ben's dressed as a janitor, wanders in his boiler suit, gets let in, no bother at all. You know, these guys would surely know.
Just his tool belt.
Yeah, put your tool belt through the machine, and in you go. Then goes into the bathroom, and he's got this perfectly kind of pressed tux underneath.
Yeah,
like, Jesus.
Of course he did. Proper Bond.
Yeah, it's a little bit Bond, isn't it? And he sees Abigail and takes her a glass of champers. Meanwhile, Sean Bean and his goons, hired goons, are breaking in, like physically breaking in through the
easy bit,
basement, aren't they?
Popping in there, blowing locks up.
Yeah, yeah. He gives Abigail this glass, and then takes it away for her fingerprints. What he basically does is puts on this finger Johnny, isn't he? Rachel's like, is that a condom? Puts on this finger Johnny and uses it to kind of do the fingerprint elevator
the biometric thing,
Yeah. He finds the console for the password, and when he puts his light on it, it goes all green. Some of the houses I've been in, for my job, you wouldn't want to have black light in it.
A lot of moss on there, isn't there?
Yeah. There's talking about he's got your man Riley going through all the letters, but because he's Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man, he gets it straight away, doesn't he?
And he's like, even she pressed the L twice, so it's Valley Forge. So like,
Valley Forge.
What a load of shit.
He's on the elevator on the way down. Next bit, he's unlocking the cases. We've seen Sean Bean's Ian character. His guys have been kind of doing little bits in between. Yeah. He's unlocking the cases, and it's just like a bloody posi drive, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just a normal posi driver.
He's got himself a wee Black & Decker Porsche thing, and he just zipping away.
Riley loses access to his video stream.
Yeah,
because Sean Bean's guys have cut through it. So he's out. He's there blind, and he's like, "I'm just going to take it to the elevator," and he walks out the room with this big fucking. It's like stealing a flat screen telly, isn't it? And as he walks out the room, he's about to get in the lift.
Nobody's going to notice this bling bling.
Put it up your shirt, and Ian's like, "It's bloody Gates."
Oh, no.
Sean Bean, by the way, is wearing the same wig that your man Voight was wearing at the start of the film.
Oh no, I thought it was
curtains and everything.
I thought it was when Patrick Swayze was wearing in bloody Point Break.
I won't have a word said against Sean Bean, though. I still think he's brilliant.
Nah,
fantastic.
Sean Bean is. Spoiler alert, this is one film he doesn't die in.
He doesn't die in, yeah. I'll add that to the list of things that we learned.
But he is a national treasure.
He is a national treasure. Yeah, we protect him. They spot him and they start shooting at the case. I'm like, wait a minute, you need that. Don't shoot at the case. Yeah. You don't know how bulletproof it is. He gets in the elevator and he's undoing it in the elevator. The lift, of course. He takes it out, rolls it up, and puts it in his jacket pocket. As he's leaving, he gets spotted with it in this shop, and this woman's like, "I hope you're going to pay for that." He's like, "What?" And he stood by the replica ones, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, okay."
For it though.
$35 plus tax.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's only you can actually buy them from there, and it's only $9.95. So I'm wondering why it's so expensive.
Really?
And his math is a bit off because he says to her. So later on, this is a spoiler as well. Is later on he says, "I've had to walk out, had to get a spare, so I've got this one and another one. So that's $35 you owe me." Like, hang on a minute, you've got two there. So surely you'd have been charged twice.
Yeah,
$70.
Yeah, and in America, and Rachel was pointing this out because she's been reading something recently from American in Britain. Everything you add your tax on. So whatever your price is, you throw your tax on top.
Oh, they don't include it.
No.
Oh, wow, that's annoying.
So whereas we've got goods and value added tax, VAT, yeah, they don't. So whatever price you see is without your VAT. It's like you're buying at a builder's merchants. You add your VAT on.
Right, okay.
And then when you do your taxes at the end of the year, as we learnt in The Simpsons, that's where you that's where you do your you figure out if you get any of that tax back. I wonder. Do you think, because this is for a business purpose, do you think he got his tax back for those?
Oh, yeah.
I would hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, fuck the system, man. Fuck the man, is what I say. But
although, what did he do as a job, though?
Tomb Raider? Uncharted man? Shite Indiana Jones?
Playboy eccentric millionaire?
Yeah. What I did wonder though, and there's a line where he says, and I had to buy a second one, so it cost me
$35.
So I bought two. Yeah, but he says I had to buy two. So why did he have to buy two? Just pay for that one. But then later on, he's got the other one as a dummy, hasn't he? As a decoy.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, but why? I guess it was a safety thing, wasn't it? It was an old safety dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't got the money. He's got like 32. He's got like 32.50 or something, hasn't he?
So close.
So he has to pay.
He had to use his Amex, didn't he?
By Visa.
He
has to pay by Visa. And so that's the point now. He has to pay 35 with the Visa, but he couldn't have bought two because he didn't have the cash for two anyway.
Exactly. So I don't.
Anyway,
really
the Visa thing will come back shortly, as if you haven't figured out what's happening there. It's at this point they discover the theft, so they hit the sirens. Your lassie Abigail's following him out, and she kind of catches him at the back of the van. He hands her the declaration when he hears the alarms, but Ian sees as they've escaped in their it's like a food truck, isn't it? It's like chef.
That's exactly what it's like. I was expecting
the Greek menu on the side.
John Louis Ammo on the back.
Previous episode. They grab her and the Declaration of Independence, but it turns out after this big chase scene that they get her back and he keeps the Declaration of Independence, Ian. He opens it up and he finds they've done the old switcheroo and given him the fake one from the shop. Once again, bastard.
Fucking bastards.
Bastard. The bastard Gates. I'm going to get you, Gates. I'm going to throttle you, Gates.
That's a better bloody impression.
It's about time I had a decent impression. I've been doing it for a while. Right, FBI agent comes into it now. Who was it?
Oh, Keitel.
Harvey Keitel.
Probably the best actor in there.
Yeah, by a country mile, absolutely. Him and Plummer. Keitel's a lot of fun in everything. Keitel's up to 100 and everything usually. I would have liked this film a bit more if he was Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah, it would have played better, wouldn't it?
I would be Bad Lieutenant meets Bad Lieutenant, actually. I've just realised. You know that port of New Orleans port?
That's another fact. They were both in the same film then, weren't they?
Well, technically.
No, was it no Bad Lieutenant New Orleans or some shit?
Yeah, port of... It's crap. I couldn't manage it all the way through.
I've
got friends who say, you've got to watch it. You've got to watch it. Shaky Lynn always says to me, you've got to watch it. And I did, and I got like halfway through. And I was like, Feruzia Balk's in it. I mean, she's a great actor. But other than that, no, it's just...
Swings and roundabouts, but the original still haunts me. Yeah, every time I see my wing mirror break, I think, Bad Lieutenant's coming.
So he's locked down the whole of the museum. Ben admits to Abby that he's a Gates. And she's like, oh, not you nutters with your conspiracy theory. He wants to run chemical tests on the back of it. He's got a whole thing set up. But they can't go back to us because he paid with his cards. He'd be fucked in COVID, wouldn't he?
I know. Because you can't spend cash. Nobody will touch your money.
No, absolutely. Unless you're putting it in a thong. I assume that works.
Yeah.
So they go to his dad's as he's got the Silence Do-Good letters. The Silence Do-Good letters were written by Ben Franklin under an assumed name, we learn, and were sent to his brother's newspaper.
Yep.
Ben turns up at Jon Voight's and he says, oh, we're in trouble. You didn't get her pregnant, did you? And it's like, no. So, do I look pregnant? And then he's like, this better not be about the treasure. It's fucking obsessed with the treasure. He admits that he found the Charlotte, that it was a ship. Well, what was the treasure? And he said, no, it's a further clue. He says the legend was invented to cover the myth. And I thought that was a good line. I quite liked that.
Yeah.
So he still doesn't believe it. Anyway, they've got this old bit of parchment is all that Jon Voight knows. And he's kind of like, you need to, he says, oh, well, we've got some lemon and we'll put some lemon on it. He's like, you need heat, put it in the oven. They're like, no! Like they jump straight away, no, we're not going to put it in the oven. No. So they put a bit of lemon juice on it.
Lemon juice on.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. And then it needs some heat. So they kind of breathe lightly on it, and that makes the ink come out. I'm like, come on.
Well, I read up on that part. Apparently, if you were to do that, it wouldn't work because the lemon juice would actually wash off the invisible ink.
Oh, right, okay.
But heat would have done it. If they just done it with heat, it would have brought it up. But apparently, if they'd put lemon juice on it, would have washed it off.
Destroyed it. Where to breathe, no breath. So
how close did they get as well? I was like,
I know, yeah. And you're kind of like, oh, are we meant to think this is sexy? No, it's doing that for me.
Blow on my declaration, it would.
Nice. The chance would be a fine thing. A fine thing indeed. So they use...
Is that a declaration of love?
Is that a declaration of independence in your pocket? Or have you just got a crusty, stinky old knob? So they use a hairdryer and all the lemons.
Yeah.
Life gives you lemons, fuck up the Declaration of Independence.
Exactly. How many lemons did he have in his fridge?
I know, yeah. He must love gin.
He really does, yeah.
I know I do. So they get the hairdryer out and this, and there's codes on the back. It's an Ottendorf cipher. Now, this cipher is something that has the page and then the line, and then the letter, isn't it? So that's the kind of the cipher. All they need is the letters to be able to do it. Dad's admitted he gave them to the museum, the Franklin Institute in Philly.
Yep.
And just as they're about to he goes, and what is this anyway? And he turns it over. It's like, it's the Declaration of Independence. He absolutely shits it, didn't he?
He went crazy, didn't he? He's like, oh, no, you brought me into this.
Anyone would think that this thing brings the fucking poltergeist out of Poltergeist to your house, the way that people behave around it.
It was a bit.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Get off the Declaration of Independence, child. Yeah, hardly. The feds then show up, and Voight's taped to his chair with his juice and his remote. He's like, yeah, he tied me to a chair and stole my car. They're in Philly next. Riley sends this kid in to get all the codes for like $6. You know, he's like, gives him a book at a time.
Yeah, bucket.
What is this kid's mum doing to let him talk to this stranger and take money?
Take money from a stranger
and bits of paper off a stranger.
It was simpler times back then.
Less than 20 years ago?
I'd have bought that for $1.
What, the child? Oh my God! You and Prince Andrew just as.
Don't tell me with that brush.
The kid gets spotted by Ian, who intercepts him. But Riley's already spotted an advert for the Liberty Bell, so that the last 4 letters were S-T-O-W, Stowe, and it says it was made by Pass and Stowe. Riley dashes before Ian gets there. Gates and Abigail are getting changed in this Urban Outfitters, and he's explaining it's his life quest and, you know, this romantic bit, which meant absolutely nought to me.
Yeah. People don't talk like that.
No, and that's what she says. People don't talk like that. The Liberty Bell's the next thing to find. Riley's here now telling them, and they have a look on the back of a $100 bill, which has the clock on it, which is just given to the girl behind the counter. And the time says 2:20. What time is it now? It's 3 o'clock. Shit. We're going to have to wait until tomorrow.
Damn.
But Riley knows.
Daylight savings.
Daylight savings. Unlike us, who managed to mess up the timing of our Hangover episode with Kelly and the team, because we didn't know the difference between daylight savings in America and the UK. But yeah, daylight savings in the US this year begins Sunday the 13th of March at 2 a.m. and then Sunday the 6th of November at 2 a.m.
So who was credited with inventing daylight savings idea?
Benjamin Franklin, they mentioned, don't they? It was his idea originally. It was
his idea, but it's been credited to George Hudson from New Zealand.
Oh, right. Wow.
So, so even though he came up with the early bed, the early rise.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently he wrote about it, but he's not credited with it. It's this guy, George Hudson.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Lousy farmers.
Oh, that $100 note as well. Had a look at the $100 note, and sure enough, it does read 2:22, but it's documented as reading 10 past 4. Because
right.
The big hand looks like the little hand, and vice versa. But yeah, it's documented as being 10 past 4.
Okay. Fantastic. I've added it. On the note, there's a mention of this all-seeing eye, isn't there? There's this, you know, the pyramid thing with the eye in it. It's also known as the Eye of Providence. It's on the $1 bill. Listeners, please don't look into this. I was almost radicalised by YouTube. Being a fucking fedora-wearing neckbeard arsehole that lives in my mum's spare room. This I didn't learn from the film, but I'm adding it to the list because I don't think we're going to get too many. The All-Seeing Eye are also fantastic late 90s electro band who I really liked. Electronic dance music band. Yeah, who did And the Beat Goes On, which is an old Sonny and Cher song.
God, right, okay.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Tony Christie, Walk Like a Panther, which is a belter, listeners. Get on Spotify and look at Walk Like a Panther. It is spot on. I love it. It's really, really good. And it's always on my head, that. So at 2:20, allegedly, 3:20, 10 past 4, whenever, I don't fucking know. The clock tower spire is going to point to something, a shadow of it. Now, really fucking lucky that it wasn't a cloudy day.
Yep. Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. Otherwise, you'd have been scuppered.
Scotland, you'd have been fucked or been waiting for months.
Ian knows what stow is, and the reason Ian knows what stow is, they didn't Google it, did they?
No, they did not. No.
They Yahoo'd it. Did a Yahoo search.
I thought I'd seen some Lycos as well.
Yahoo search engine has been live since 1995, which I think was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago?
Definitely.
Yeah. Gates and the gang head up to the tower. Ian and his goons, hired goons, are in hot pursuit. The shadow points to a wall. Gates cuts out over the roof and gets his knife out to get this hollow brick out. And Rachel pointed out, like, that's just like a little penknife. And how easy did that come away?
Yeah, he's packing into cement. I'm like, it's never going to happen.
And inside this hollowed out brick was what?
A pair of spectacles.
Pair of 3D glasses, wasn't it?
It's got to see Jaws 3D at a time.
What was your favourite? You've taken the words out of my mouth, John. Jaws 3D was absolutely my favourite 3D thing that I ever watched in the 80s. Was it yours?
Oh, yeah, but I remember when it was going to come on TV and the paper, can't remember what paper it was, had 3D glasses that the family could use. Yeah,
I think TV Times had one. Yeah, I remember that as well.
Everybody was sitting with those 3D glasses watching Jaws 3D, which was
watching the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah.
Arguably, Jaws the Revenge is better, although sharks don't do revenge. Anyway, they look at the back of the declaration, and it says "here" at the wall with 2 E's.
Yep.
Well, 3 E's technically, but he's like, no, it's 2 E's. But here comes Ian, so they split up. One with an empty case, one with a declaration, and the third one's got the glasses. He says, let's separate the lock from the key. That's the smartest thing they've done in this whole film, in my opinion.
Yeah, very much.
Riley and Abby are chased into this crowded food market, which looked lush, by the way. I was like, I'll eat all of that stuff. Fantastic. She jumps over a counter into this butcher, and this sassy black character, doesn't she? She's like, you better be a steak. And I was like, I'm hiding from my ex-husband. Baldy over there? Yeah. I see why you left him. You can stay as long as you want, darling. And I'm like, okay, I like you, but you are one of only 2 black characters in this whole film. This whole piece of whitewashed shit.
Yeah. Proper whitewashed.
The little lad who got all the messages, and this woman, she's like, can I help you? She got some proper sass, hasn't she?
She really did, yeah.
I liked the character. I lolled a little bit. Jesus, did I just say lolled? Shoot me now. Rufflecopters. The goon chasing Gates is a fucking stormtrooper. Like, he cannot shoot for shit, can he?
Yeah,
like Gates is right in front of him, and he hits this fucking scaffolding.
Yeah. I mean, it'd take me a name to actually hit the scaffolding pole with hit Gates.
Absolutely, it would. 100%. Yeah. On the roof, Gates throws the empty case, and he goes after it and grabs it. Gates gets away. Abby nearly gets flat Eric'd by this truck, didn't she?
Oh,
this
God,
fucking huge semi, as the Americans call it.
Yeah.
Semi.
You know, they got hit with a semi. Yeah, I bet you were laughing.
You better believe I was. She loses declaration as well, but thankfully Riley saves her. Ian picks up the declaration from the middle of the road. He didn't get hit by a fucking truck, does he?
No,
he just walks out, jaywalks, and gets picked. Yeah, picks it up, no bother at all.
Jaywalks.
Gates gets caught by the feds and the bad lieutenant. Riley and Abby contact Ian because it's the only person they can think of to contact to get Gates free. Yep. Yeah. Ben's in the precinct and Ian rings his mobile. They've got it tapped. He wants Ben to meet him on the Uss Intrepid in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So,
on the flight deck.
Yeah, so they get him all wired up, don't they? He's proper wired for sound here.
Oh yeah.
Cliff Richards. They get him all wired up as he goes to this
plane museum.
Well, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. The USS Intrepid was commissioned in 1943 and decommissioned in 1974. you can visit the museum, which is the Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum on Pier 86 of the Hudson River. I was kind of into that. I thought that was quite interesting. I don't think I've ever been on a battleship.
I'm sure it's in I Am Legend as well. You're not playing golf on it or something?
He is playing golf on a battleship. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I thought that must be it.
That's a film I don't think I ever need to watch again.
Yeah.
I always cry when a dog dies. I always cry when a dog dies. It breaks my heart.
When the dog goes.
Oh, God, yeah. So he's wired up, and there's all these guys there, and they meet him. They start having a conversation, but they've got this kind of looks like a speed trap camera, doesn't it? And they managed to block the signal with this speed trap camera.
That's exactly what it looked like. And tell him to go after the ship, was it?
Go to the aft of the ship, and you're gonna. I think basically they're trying to get him to survive the Poseidon adventure, like last week. Yeah. So he climbs up there, and then he jumps off, doesn't he? Jumps off, falls in the water, and
gets
they've got him
James
this scuba gear.
There with those scuba gear. Yeah.
And this like dun 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 the
wee mini torpedo thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. To be honest, I tell you what, I wouldn't jump in there, John, if you paid me.
Nah.
I've played that NES Turtles game. I know that it's full of bombs and electric bits and that weed that tangles you up in at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, there's no catching you at this time.
No, definitely not. But yeah, there's a bit. Can't you see him? Can't you see him? She's like, it's the Hudson River. I can't see. We can't see shit.
Yeah, it looks like it as well, doesn't it? As soon as it's aerial view, it just looks like really strong tea.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. They take Ben to the intersection of Wall Street and Broadway, which is Trinity Church.
Yep.
And he says, there you go, it's here. That's where the clues end. Gates hasn't having any of it. And he says, you see, the thing is, if you're bluffing, it helps if you hold all the cards. Opens the car door, and Jon Voight's there. Yeah, that's right. In the church, the gang's all back together. The map also says beneath Parkington Lane, which Parkington Lane would be a fantastic name for a new tube station, wouldn't it? In leafy suburbia somewhere. In the crypt, they find this stone for Parkington Lane. It's a person.
Yep.
They basically just smash it open and take the corpse out. There's a kind of like a mini jump scare, which is nothing, when the corpse falls out the bottom of this rotted case. And there's a tunnel. Ian puts guards on the tunnel, and they all head down. It opens up to this massive area. He lights this torch, doesn't he, which has been there for fucking donkeys. It's covered in vodka.
Well, I said that. I looked at that as well, because it looks as if even pure gasoline would evaporate completely, leaving nothing to burn. So I don't really know what the.
I guess it's very dry, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's everywhere. So they walk into some bits and it's still lit.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Like a chandelier that's totally lit.
It's a chandelier. This huge open bit with these rickety stairs looks like something out of Castlevania, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They start walking down these rickety stairs, and this goon Shaw, who is the one that can't shoot for shit, looks like M. Night Shyamalan. He buys the farm, doesn't he? He falls a long way.
He really does, yeah.
All the way.
He bit that bullet that he kept misfiring, didn't he?
Yeah, knocking out loads of bits as he goes down, so they're not going to be able to climb down. But luckily, because it's America and everyone's lazy, there's a lift.
Yeah.
Sorry, Americans. Sorry. We're lazy too. Me and this man are lazy, I'll tell you that for free.
Oh, no, half I wouldn't even be winding that up. I'd have wanted a travelator or something like that. Winding that up.
Just put me on a rope, lower me down. They make it to the bottom and into this empty chamber. Ian makes to leave them down there unless they get the next clue. Gates Senior has been saying all the way through, you've got to keep the status quo, He'll only keep us alive as long as there's a status quo. And he says, look, there's another clue. He says, the lantern down there, that's the clue. 1 by land, 2 if by sea, which is how they were alerted that the British were coming.
Right. Okay.
He says, so it's in Boston at the church where the lantern was lit. Ian heads off to Boston and leaves them down there and basically says, if I need you, I'll come back for you. If I found out you lied, I'll come back for you and kill you. Fine. Gates explains that they've faked Ian out because it's not the case, because it was the other way around. It's 2 if by land, 1 if by sea.
Yeah.
So Ben says we've got to find a way out. It'll be easy. There'll be a vent. So he finds basically this
eye
treasure room, doesn't it? Yeah, it's the all-seeing eye that we talked about.
Yep.
He uses that. They go in and they find this treasure room. And it's just empty. There's nothing there. It's dusty, cobwebby. Well, spiders are still living down there all this time.
Yeah.
You know,
and everything's still flammable.
Yeah, someone got here first, and he says, I failed you. And Stenia says, no, you found that the treasure's real, and that's ultimately you. You found the treasure room. You're the person that did it. I'm happy to be proven wrong. We can keep looking for it. And it's like, Jesus, like. Turn on a sixpence, mate. You know.
I know. Where's your integrity, man?
He says, we can still get out. There'll be an air shaft in case of cave-ins, and we'll be able to find a way out. So he's kind of like using the torch, isn't he? Hoping that the torch will kind of flicker to the air shaft. And he finds this button with the pipe carving outline from the start. Puts the pipe carving outline in it and twists it like a little fucking cog thing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And it opens this other door.
Like Mr. Slushy, that means.
Yeah, it's Mr. Frosty. Yeah, Mr. Frosty Maker. Oh, Jesus, there's a memory. Opens up to the room from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Loads of shit. But I didn't spot any top men in this room at all. Loads and loads of stuff. Scrolls from the Library of Alexandria. I mean, how do you know? Does it say, please return, if lost, please return to the Library of Alexandria?
Yeah,
do not remove.
Yeah, we barcode on it. The names all below it. No.
Stamps on it.
From the year.
What year? 1000 BC. Yeah. Doesn't really work. There's everything you would want here, John. Absolutely everything you want. Original recipe iron brew, 4K version of Meet the Feebles, everything that you really want to exist.
Proper treasures.
Yeah, absolutely. Still waiting for that 4K Meet the Feebles. They get out the vent stairs and they give Keitel the declaration. He says, look, he says, can I bribe you? He's like, well, I don't know. He's like, 10 billion worth of bribery? He's like, possibly. And he says, look, he knows the story of the Masons because it turns out he's got a Mason's ring on. We learned about the Masons, of course, during the Filth episode, Scotch Toberfest, which they were police, weren't they? And they were Masons as well. So it must just be a Polis thing. They're all in the lodge.
That's it.
Fingering one another or whatever. So he says, look, it should be shared between the world, but I want credit to go to the Gates family and Riley for finding it. And he says, yeah, but somebody's got to go to prison. Well, I don't want to go to prison, but somebody has to. Actually, if you've got a helicopter, you could send someone to prison. And they catch Ian breaking in. They get him under kidnapping, attempted murder, and trespassing in a government building. All right, okay. That third one will never stick.
I know, they're just going in just to stick the boot in, aren't they?
Yeah. Epilogue, we find out the government offered them 10%. Gates said it was too much. Instead, they took 1% between them. 1% between them, John, still means that they would have ended up with $50 million each, because $100 million is 1% of 10 bill. Wow. Your man jumps into his Ferrari Spider. Yeah, Ferrari 360 Spider. It's gorgeous.
That was really nice.
Year 2000.
For shit, but yeah, it looks
he's fucking knackering that gearbox, something rotten. If you wanted a brand new F8 Tributo, this year's plates, fully loaded with the V8 and everything. It's Ferrari's latest. $408,000.
Wow.
If you wanted one of them right now.
Every penny.
Yeah, absolutely. Riley gripes, jumps into his Ferrari that he can't drive, which you've already pointed out, and the film ends, but not before. She says, I've got a map for you to find the treasure. But where does it lead to? And she's like, well, you'll find out. And I was like, it's a minge. I know it's a minge.
It really is.
It's a grotty knickers. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure she doesn't know any grotty knickers. Yeah, there you go.
The Room Raider.
Oh, fucking hell, John.
Sorry, mate. Take me a while, but I got it.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Right, okay, I'm sure there's a few other bits and pieces. What have you got, John?
So there is something in the back of the Declaration. It's basically just the words original Declaration of Independence with the date on it, but it's upside down. So they think it may have been because it was rolled up and placed somewhere, so that's why it's upside down. Okay. Laser beams themselves are made up of photons and are light particles, so they don't have no mass and they wouldn't cause any increase in temperature. So him was doing that with the laser beam when it worked. A stun gun, so there's a stun gun at some point, but a stun gun does not have the capability to knock someone out. The stun gun is designed to cause a series of effects based on how long it's held in for, but at no point would you pass out if you got tasered.
Okay.
The Liberty Bell was cast in London. There's a lot of debate about this. The reason it's got a crack in it says it's because the metal was too brittle and it cracked during the testing strike, and they had to recast it a couple of times. Guns. So handguns, we've got the Glock 17.
Yep.
The Jericho 941R.
Okay.
The Ruger KP 94.
That was the one that they're threatening. It's like the little handgun, isn't it? The Ruger.
Yes.
Is that what they're threatening with? I like that one.
Yep. The submachine guns are the MP5, fan favourite.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, that's the GoldenEye one, isn't it? The MP5. Yeah.
Shotguns is a Mossberg 500, something I've not heard of before. So Mossberg 500, and it was an M26 taser.
Okay. All right.
That is me. I'm out, buddy.
Illegal. Okay, good stuff. 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence. That Masonic symbol that we see all the time in the film is called the square and compass.
Right. As in the square for measuring.
It is. Well, that's exactly right. It's defined by the following term. This is what they say. The square to square our actions, the compass to circumscribe. I nearly said circumcise. To circumscribe and keep us within bounds with all mankind, whatever the fuck that means. Can't believe I didn't make a did they choose poorly joke. I had that opportunity and I didn't write anything down. Just
good man. You didn't succumb to your peer pressure. Your own peer
I know,
pressure.
yeah. Throw it in at the end. You know. There's a mention of Continental Congress. Continental Congress was a series of legislative bodies with some executive function for 13 of Britain's colonies in North America. The newly declared United States just before, during, and after the American Revolution.
Right.
Mastheads. So there was a female masthead, wasn't there? The Phoenicians, Egyptians, and Romans, as well as others in the future, carved and painted feminine symbols on their vessels to protect them at sea.
Or vessels?
Yeah. 1776 was when the Constitution was signed. Of course, we know that's when the US became independent. Working my way through 1776 was hellish, mate. It was exhausting because it was just thing after thing after thing after thing that happened in America. So I watched some stuff that didn't happen in America. John Constable, painter of the Haywain, which is one of my favourite paintings, is born. As was William Bradbury, the first Brit to ever cultivate and sell watercress, which is the most British thing ever.
It really is.
Yeah. And the Bolshoi Ballet in Russia had its first season. They finished third in the league.
Well, Bolshoi.
Trinity Church, Alexander Hamilton's buried here. You know him because he's the one that does all the songs on Broadway.
He can rap.
Yeah, I'm sure he's known for other things as well, but I've not seen his show, so I don't know.
Nah, there's definitely no tunnels down there because I checked it out, and because there's so many subway systems, there's no way there could have been a hidden street or anything underneath that church.
Yeah, I looked that up, and the nearest tube station, because there is one for Broadway, it's like 2 blocks away. It's like 2 blocks down the thing. So yeah, well spotted, those men. Very disappointed that this isn't the British TV show from Channel 4, National Treasure, which was about Robbie Coltrane being a pedo TV person. Have you seen that? That's fucking brutal, man.
I love it. I think it's
so
amazing.
Did I.
Every time I googled National Treasure, that came up.
Yeah.
I loved National Treasure. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, so did I. I liked it a lot more than I like this film.
Yeah, oh god, aye.
How do you think we've done, John?
Better than you thought. You thought it was going to be 50, but I'm thinking it's more like about 72.
Higher.
78.
Higher.
92.
Lower.
82.
88.
88.
That'll do.
Okay. Yeah,
not bad, is it? Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, not bad. Fucking, I'm exhausted, but I tell you what, I'm like some sort of American historian now.
Yeah,
American historian.
They should come to you, or get you sign something in a declaration.
Yeah, I get signed on a fucking register.
But yeah, the amount of bloody rabbit holes you're going to go down with this American history, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very interesting indeed. Please, listeners, if you enjoyed what you hear, give us a rate and a review. If you didn't enjoy it, give us a rate and a review, and still give us 5 stars, please, because that's good. You can now rate and review on Spotify if you haven't already. Give us 5 stars. Helps us get in front of other people. Best thing to do, though, is tell somebody that you know about it. Americans, don't tell, like, your old history professor from school, because they're going to fucking hate us. I think most people do. But they specifically will hate us for this. But yeah, do that. Tell them, mate. We've got loads of great stuff coming up in the next few weeks, and lots of exciting stuff coming up for the next few months as well.
Yeah.
John, do you want to say goodbye to the lovely people?
I would say goodbye. It's been swell watching this film on your behalf. Somebody owes me some money. Somebody owes me $35 plus VAT at least, or a coffee.
Yeah. Buy me. We've got to buy me a coffee. Jump onto our buy me a coffee. 100 Things film, and buy us a Declaration of Independence, please. That'd be nice. $35. Don't forget the VAT. That would be good. We will be back next week, and for once we've actually got a whole month planned, John, haven't we? We do. Not very often, but we wanted to make sure we got it right. What are we coming back with next week?
So John Cusack. Gross Point
Jon
Blank.
Cusack, Mini Driver.
Yeah,
God, I've got a soft spot for Mini Driver and a massive fucking face.
I've got a hard spot for Mini Driver.
She has got a massive face. I love her massive face. Yeah, okay, yeah, she's one of ours as well, with a bad American accent. Gross Point Blank, which I haven't seen for about 15 years, John. So I am dead excited about seeing this again. Dan Aykroyd. God, I love Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
we're on a mission from God.
I think I went through a bit of a John Cusack phase of watching High Fidelity and stuff like that, and this was definitely on the list, so I watched a lot. It's back to back. It was good.
High Fidelity. I've put this on the list instead of High Fidelity because High Fidelity will be a future one, I think.
Yeah, well, there's a lot.
We'll leave High Fidelity for quite some time until we get like a music shop owner or someone, and I don't fucking know. We'll figure that out. But thanks everybody for taking time out of your busy 2022 schedules to listen to us blether shite, and we will be back next week with what I remember as being one of my favourites. But for now, we have been 88 things we have learned from National Treasure. It's a National Treasure, you bastard. See ya.
See you guys. Bye-bye.